There is a grocery store where you have to pay a quarter just to get a shopping cart. The soothing sound of 80s yacht rock is missing, and half the product names you have never heard of and probably can't pronounce. It sounds like a fever dream, and yet Aldi is real and has become one of the most beloved grocery chains on earth. Although not necessarily for the reasons you'd think. Which is why today we're going to talk about the real reason people love Aldi. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel and let us know in the comments below what other food through the decades topics you would like to hear about. In 1913, a woman named Anna Albrecht opened a small general store in a suburb of Essen, Germany. Her husband, meanwhile, was a coal miner, but he was eventually forced out of the mines by asthma and did a career pivot to baker's assistant. They weren't wealthy and they weren't connected, but they were relentlessly practical. They also raised two sons who would take that practicality and turn it into an empire that would one day drive TikTok content creators to compulsively keep the world posted on the chain's newest releases. Anna and Carl's sons were Carl Jr., who had nothing to do with Carl's Jr., and Theo Albrecht. They were born in 1920 and 1922 respectively, and grew up watching Anna run her store with the efficiency of a mom trying to make every dollar count. By 1945, after World War II ended, the boys were ready to jump into the family business and start growing it. By 1950, they owned 13 stores in the Ruhr Valley, and by 1960, they had 300, making their business one of Germany's largest grocery chains. How did they do it? Well, in the 50s, instead of putting in your loyalty number at a grocery store to redeem rewards, customers had to collect stamps. Once they filled a book with these stamps, they got their rewards. So instead of making Aldi customers collect stamps and mail in rebate claims like it was their job, they just gave them the discounts up front. Revolutionary in a deeply German way. Everything seemed to be going great. But in 1960, a civil war started. Not in Germany, in the Albrecht family. The two brothers found themselves at odds over a seemingly simple decision, whether or not to sell cigarettes. Theo wanted to, Carl did not. It would be logical to assume that Carl had some objection to cigarettes over health concerns, but that wasn't the issue. The problem was that he thought they'd attract shoplifters, which is possibly valid. Theo, however, was clearly more of a risk-taker and didn't care. You'd think two experienced businessmen, brothers no less, would be able to work this out, but you'd be wrong. So they divided 300 stores between them and went their separate ways. From then on out, Carl ran Aldi Süd in the south and Theo ran Aldi Nord in the north. The dividing line between their territories became known as the Aldi Equator, which is an extremely dramatic name for a supermarket boundary, and we fully support it. In 1962, they named the company itself Aldi, which is short for Albrecht Discount and means Albrecht Discount. The name then became formal in 1975, by which point the brothers had already started expanding internationally. Aldi Süd headed into Austria in 1967, while Aldi Nord went into the Netherlands in 1973. Then Aldi Süd entered the United States in 1976, opening its first American store in Burlington, Iowa. Iowa, not New York, not Los Angeles, Iowa, which is either very humble or very strategic, and probably both. In 1979, Aldi Nord acquired Trader Joe's, which means that the same family that owns the store where people lose their minds over cheap German chocolate also owns the store where people lose their minds over everything having Joe in the name, and the proud distributor of 2-Buck Chuck. That is some information to blow your minds. Anyway, the Albrecht family has been running two of America's most beloved grocery chains simultaneously for decades, from behind the scenes, without most people knowing. That's not a business strategy, that's a supervillain origin story. The brothers retired as CEOs in 1993, handing control to private family foundations. Theo died in 2010 and Carl followed in 2014. Today, Aldi operates over 13,500 stores across 18 countries. Here's the question every first-time Aldi customer asks, usually while you're standing in the aisle holding a $2.89 block of cheese with a suspicious expression. How is this so cheap? But the answer is all around you, and you just don't know it. Their store is cheaper because they're cheaper, not store-brand cheap in the way that Walmart's great value line is cheap. Cheaper than that. Aldi actually beats Walmart, the company that turned aggressive low pricing into a religion and drove half of Main Street America out of business doing it on direct price comparisons. Consistent consistently across product categories. Walmart built its entire identity around being the cheapest option. Aldi looked at that and said, "Hold my Millville fruit rounds." A 30-ounce Aldi pepperoni pizza costs $4.65. Walmart's version is 28 ounces and $4.97. So Walmart is charging you more for a pizza that is literally smaller. And, well, that's just heartbreaking. Aldi's private label protein shakes run $7.39 for 4. Walmart's name brand equivalent is $9.58. That difference might not seem like a lot, but across a full grocery run, it adds up, and those dollars become the quiet, satisfying feeling of having made a good decision. The reason this is possible is simple. Aldi almost never carries name brand products. Walk into an Aldi, and instead of Kellogg's Fruit Loops, you'll find Millville Fruit Rounds. Instead of Lay's, you'll find Clancy's. Instead of You'll Play, there's Friendly Farms. Their exclusive brands cost up to 50% less than national brands because they cut out the middleman entirely. No licensing fees, no brand premium, no paying for the marketing budget of a company whose mascot is a cartoon tiger. So essentially, you're buying the number 2 brands in the market instead of the number 1s. The good news, however, is they're not number 2 in taste. Many claim these products are actually good. Plenty of TikTokers have done side-by-side taste tests of Aldi's Millville Fruit Rounds versus Fruit Loops and found them essentially identical. Some commenters claim the Aldi version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch tastes better than the original. Aldi sells private labels the way a restaurant sells house wine, made to quality standards, priced to move, and surprisingly hard to complain about. But the savings don't stop at the private label strategy. Aldi built an entire operational philosophy around eliminating costs that other stores quietly pass on to their customers. Which brings us to the absence of the familiar tunes your mom usually hums along to while shopping. Aldi doesn't play music for the simplest reason. Music licensing fees are really expensive, and every dollar saved on the operating side is a dollar that doesn't get added to the price of your eggs. Who knew that Madonna would someday sabotage the price of your groceries? They also sell products directly off shipping pallets instead of restocking shelves the traditional way, saving employee time. And they don't offer services they consider unnecessary, so you won't find a pharmacy or bank branch. And then there's the quarter. The quarter deposit shopping cart system is one of Aldi's most talked about quirks, and it is completely, deliberately rational. Insert a quarter to unlock a cart, get it back when you return the cart. It costs you absolutely nothing, except the mild inconvenience of carrying a quarter. What it costs Aldi is nothing, because they no longer need employees to round up carts from across the parking lot. Aldi carts run between $200 and $250 each, and the deposit system also prevents theft and parking lot damage. In Europe, the deposit is a full euro. There's even a thriving market on Amazon and Etsy for quarter-sized keychains and coin slugs specifically designed for Aldi carts, which means Aldi's cost-cutting measure has accidentally spawned its own microeconomy. Carl Albrecht would have found this deeply satisfying. Beyond the regular grocery lineup, Aldi runs a weekly rotation of limited-time specialty items called Aldi Finds. This is random merchandise that has absolutely nothing to do with groceries and everything to do with the primal human joy of finding something unexpected at a discount. One week, it might be a kayak. The next, a standing desk, an air fryer, or a set of gardening tools. In the early days back in Germany, they offered computers, like a Commodore 64 in 1987, and they were so popular that they sold out within hours. In American stores, the Aldi Finds aisle sits in the center of the store and has been nicknamed the Aisle of Shame by devotees. Why? Because you go in for milk and eggs and come out with a 2,000-watt generator and zero regrets. It's the grocery equivalent of a treasure hunt, and it works because the items are genuinely good quality at genuinely low prices, and they disappear when they're gone. In other words, Aldi figured out scarcity marketing before scarcity marketing was a term, and they did it at a store that also sells canned beans. Before anyone justifiably suspects this of being a commercial for Aldi, let's mention the numerous scandals and controversies they've been involved in. And it's not terribly surprising, because no grocery chain with 13,500 locations across 18 countries is going to get through the decades without some incidents. That being said, Aldi's incident list is interesting, to say the least. In early 2013, Aldi discovered during routine random testing that some of its frozen beef products, specifically frozen lasagna and spaghetti spaghetti bolognese from a brand called Today's Special contained up to 100% horse meat. Not a trace of horse, not even a lot of horse. 100% horse. The source was traced to a French supplier called Comigel, which had also been providing contaminated products to other brands across France, Britain, and Sweden. Aldi pulled the products immediately. A spokesperson expressed that they were equally as disappointed as their customers. It was never fully established whether the meat mix-up was deliberate fraud or spectacular negligence on the part of the supplier. And when asked about it, they simply responded, "Nay." Nay. Then there was the cocaine. You would think this one happened in the 80s because, cocaine. But in 2019, hundreds of kilograms of the white stuff were found hidden in banana crates, delivered to 6 Aldi locations in Germany and a warehouse. Employees found the stash and called the police. State authorities indicated the shipment likely originated in Latin America and may have represented the largest cocaine haul ever found in northern Germany, which is a record Aldi presumably did not put in its annual report. What makes this especially unusual is that it was not the first time. A 2015 incident saw about $12.5 million worth of cocaine found in banana crates shipped to Berlin. Police speculated the shipments ended up at Aldi by mistake, meaning drug smugglers accidentally sent their product to a discount grocery store instead of their intended recipients, which is either the most embarrassing logistical failure in organized crime history or proof that even criminals make shipping errors. And then there was Gloria Besley of Pennsylvania. In 2018, Besley purchased a frozen turkey burger from her local Aldi, followed the cooking instructions exactly, preheated the skillet, medium heat, small amount of vegetable oil, and the turkey burger exploded. Not splattered, exploded, leaving her with second-degree burns and permanent scarring. She sued for $35,000. The case was settled about a year later on undisclosed terms. Aldi has never officially commented on what exactly the deal was with that turkey burger. Here's the pivot, because everything covered so far is the obvious answer to why people love Aldi. The prices are great and everyone knows that, but there's another reason shoppers consistently cite. Aldi stores are small, coming in at an average of about 20,000 square feet. A typical Kroger or Publix runs about 40,000. A Walmart superstore can sprawl anywhere from 180 to 250,000 square feet. A Costco is usually just under 150,000. So Aldi is, by standards of modern American retail, tiny. People love it. On Reddit, in a thread asking whether people actually enjoyed shopping at Aldi, the responses were remarkably consistent. One person said, "I actually love that the store is smaller, easier to get in and out, and not a huge overwhelming amount of options." Another agreed. "Definitely kills analysis paralysis. If there is only one brand of something, that's what I grab and move on." Someone else added, "I love the limited, curated selection of goods." And yet another person summed it all up nicely by saying, "Gigantic stores are overkill and just have more junk to buy." This reflects something psychologists call decision fatigue, the mental exhaustion that comes from making too many choices. Modern grocery stores are engineered to maximize it. The average American supermarket carries around 30,000 to 50,000 unique products. Every aisle is a gauntlet of competing options, brand comparisons, and new and improved packaging designed to catch your eye. By the time you reach checkout, you've made hundreds of micro decisions, and your brain is exhausted. Aldi has approximately 1,400 products. One brand of peanut butter, one brand of pasta sauce, and you either want it or you don't. The store is quiet, literally, because there's no music. The aisles are uncluttered, and the whole experience is designed, whether intentionally or not, to be low stimulation. In a world where people are constantly overstimulated, a lot of folks find that to be a relief. The prices get people in the door, but the simplicity keeps people coming back. It's especially interesting given that nobody at corporate sat down and said, "Let's reduce decision fatigue." They just wanted to cut costs and run a lean operation. The psychological benefit was a side effect. And face it, the best features often are. Long story short, two brothers who split a company over cigarettes somehow built one of the most beloved grocery chains on earth, simply by doing less. Less product selection, less noise, less overhead, less everything. It turns out less is exactly what people wanted, even when they didn't know it. So what do you think? And are you a fan of Aldi's? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.